Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome.
There's a time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
Start somewhere. It has to start sometime. What better place than here? What better time than now?
Terrorists! Terrorize this.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
But he left one final warning.
1984 is, I believe, a quite terrifying masterpiece. So terrifying, in fact, I don't think I should like to read another like it.
I'm not absolutely dissatisfied with it. I think it is a good idea, but the execution would have been better if I had not been under the influence of TB when I wrote it.
You once claimed that you have an ability to face unpleasant facts. Is that what you've demonstrated in 1984 by drawing an accurate portrait of the future?
I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We shall abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
That's right. It depends on us. But that will be the vision of the future. In fact, we're not far from that now. But we'll get into it and see why we're heading that direction. Greetings, free thinkers, truth seekers, evolutionaries, and reptilian hunters. It is Monday, December 12th, 2011. You have found yourselves drawing the line in the radioactive sand here on the front lines in this war on our humanity. I'm your host, Darren Stone, broadcasting to you live from FEMA Region 1. Tonight's call-in number is the same old number, 917-889-3064. Because remember, kids, being whisked away by your local FEMA drones to be, quote-unquote, decontaminated is not the time to make your voice heard. 917-889-3064. There. Don't ever complain that you can't say what's on your mind, because I'm giving you permission. Not that you need it from me, but it is my show. All right. First thing I want to do is I want to welcome all the new listeners to the show, and the new joiners on the Front's Facebook page, and the new joiners on the Front's YouTube page, and everybody that has checked out FrontRadio.net. That's the official website of the program. It's been a busy weekend for those pages, and I appreciate it. Thank you all for taking the time to check it out. I will try to make it worth your while most of the time. We did send out, just for those of you that received the new Front newsletter, and those of you that didn't, I'm going to tell you how you can get it. We did send out a big newsletter. I believe it was yesterday. And if you received one of those and you're here because of that letter, that email, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please feel free to send feedback. I've already received some. Some of it wasn't nice. Some people have misconstrued my humor. Oh, yes, and thank you all the new Twitter followers, 22 new Twitter followers since yesterday. But, some people take my humor the wrong way. I got a response back from one of the emails where the person responded by saying they would never trust anyone or anything from FEMA Region 1. I found that quite odd. I tried to explain to the person that I just used that government terminology to make people aware that that government terminology exists, and that's how they refer to the places that we call our homes. They refer to them as some type of numbered region. But this person wasn't happy. They weren't having it. They didn't want it, and they weren't having it, and so they're not going to have it. I tried to explain. I said, hey, I'm just a regular guy, and just do the program, and I'm on your side. I'm pro-humanity, and blah, blah, blah. But they weren't having it. They didn't want to hear it. So, but anyways, I just want to say, if you have any feedback about the newsletter, about the program, suggestions, comments, show content, top secret government files, declassified UFO files, whatever it is, feel free to send them in to thefront@live.com. That's our email address, thefront@live.com. And also you can join us on Twitter. It's The Front on Twitter, and the O is a 0. It's a big old 0, not an O. So it's The Front with a 0, not an O. And, of course, it's The Front on YouTube, and obviously the home base for all that is FrontRadio.net. And once again, if you want to get in on the whole Front newsletter, I'm not sure how often we'll be sending this newsletter out. I'd like to do it at least bi-weekly. I'd like to actually do it weekly, but that takes some stuff. So I don't know if we'll get it out then, but we will try. We will try. If you want that newsletter, on the Front's Facebook page, there is a link. You will sign up on the for the Intel Hub newsletter, and we are part of that now. Also, if you don't want to deal with any other spam, you just want pure frontage in your email inbox, then just shoot me an email at thefront@live.com, and we're going to start compiling our own email list, and we'll just send you our email newsletter. Okay, so however you guys want to do it. Also, I have to remind everybody, we have the new T-shirts in. I just got mine on Saturday, so I am right now sporting my own T-shirt. The Front, Real Truth Radio, FrontRadio.net. It's a pretty cool shirt. You get a free shirt. Well, not a free shirt. Your shirt will be sent out to you for a $20 donation to the program, because that's how we keep the show on the air. If I had the money to keep the show on the air myself, I would rather give away T-shirts, but I can't do that at this point in time. I hope so. And all the money that I make from those T-shirts, or the majority of the money that I make from those T-shirts, are all going to go back into this program. Now, if we have a big surplus and I don't have to, the monthly expenses are covered, well, then we're going to start expanding a little bit more. I'm not sure what that expansion will be, but I'm going to do my best to pour the majority of that money back into this show. I'd hate to not be able to do the program just because of cash. You know, it kind of sucked. So anyways, that's enough of that. And you know what? If you haven't had enough Truth Talk Radio, Real Truth Radio tonight, after the program, about 10 o'clock, check out the Orion Talk Radio Network. Check them out on Facebook. And there will be a program on with some of my friends on it called What the F? A little comedic relief in this whole storm of craziness that we're in right now. So check it out. It's a great show. What the F on Orion at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. All right, that's enough of the plugging stuff. Last show, I just have to say, yes, there's a comment in chat. I agree. Those FEMA Region 1 are even worse than those from FEMA Region 2. Probably. It's our top priority. We made the red list. I want to talk a little bit about the last show with my guest, Susan Lindauer. I don't know what you guys thought about that show. I thought it was kind of weird. And I don't know. I had heard Linda on programs before, and she was great. I spoke with her earlier that day. But when she got on my program, hey, I don't know if it was because it was later in the evening or or she was tired or what, but we had a little slight communication problem. She was very hard to get a word in there. So I apologize. That interview did not go the way I wanted to. I got to barely anything I wanted to cover with her. But nonetheless, there was some good information in there. And, you know, check it out. It's episode 167 if you want to, just for some weirdness. Give me the feedback on that. But also, I do want to say that a very important episode is 166 from a week ago today with my guest, Christina Consolo. Please, guys, check that out. It has all the information you need about radiation and what's happening in Fukushima. I'm not here just trying to plug my old shows, really. I mean, this is show 168. I'm not going to go down the entire list. I really do feel that show 166 with Christina concerning the radiation coming out of Fukushima and how we're all being exposed to the fallout is pretty dire, pertinent information that everybody should be exposed to. And look, if you don't want to listen to my show about it, please, I implore you to go out and do your research on it so that you know what you and your family are being exposed to right now, and you know why, you know the magnitude of what's being, I guess we can say, covered up and ignored by mainstream media. All right. What do I have for you tonight? I have an S-1867 update, and you know what? Does it really matter? Honestly, does Senate Bill 1867 with the military detention thing, honestly, does it actually matter at this point in time? I mean, with the passing of the Patriot Act, I don't see how S-1867 really matters. I just don't. Does it sound terrible? Yes. Do I believe anything these people say? Do I trust them to not manipulate wording and not have wording have double meanings or being presented in a way where, you know, a normal person might interpret it one way, but because of their legal speak, it may really mean something else? I don't doubt that one single bit. But honestly, everybody, I mean, with the passing of the Patriot Act, they just have to slap the label terrorist on you, and all your rights are gone, and you're black bagged and taken away. To me, it really doesn't matter if I'm kept in a prison overseas or one right down the road. If I'm still in solitary confinement, I'm in solitary confinement. So I don't really know why S-1867 is getting so much play, other than the latest red flag in our continuing approach to complete and utter dictatorial destruction at the leather glove-covered fists of our government. And I say that because just look at history and look at the progression of genocide and tyranny. It's pretty damn obvious. Especially if you've been looking into this stuff for a while, like I have, about 10 years. All right. Also, I have a Fukushima update. It looks like Reactor 4 might be in some serious trouble. This is not a good thing. I don't know if that's confirmed yet or not. You guys noticed the scrolling pictures I have up for the program tonight. If you're in the chat room and listening live, you can see those pictures. I try to put up photos that have something to do with the show content. You'll see a picture of Reactor 4 not looking all that great. So if it hasn't fallen or collapsed on itself today, it sure looks like it will sometime in the near future. If that happens, we'll probably get another explosion. The bad thing with that is I believe all these spent fuel rods are on top of it, and all that stuff will be thrown up into the atmosphere along with everything else. So we're going to go over a little bit of that update. Also, I have for you a list of ways to combat the radiation. Yes, once again, we're going to keep covering this stuff because it's important. And I also have a little news article about the NRC commissioners covering up what's happening and what we're being exposed to. So there you go. A conspiracy theory has been hatched and once again proven to be conspiracy fact. Also, excellent first-hand account of when the shit hits the fan scenario, brought to you by Selco. If you haven't checked out Selco and the Shit Hit the Fan School website, I urge you to do so. You can get to that on the Front's website, frontradio.net. If you log on to the home page, right in the middle, it's front and center in the middle news feed. Just check it out. It has an article about gold, which I'm going to go over today. Is gold really that important in the Shit Hit the Fan scenario? Hey, look, those of you that have been listening to the program for a while know that I've always said this about gold. It might be nice as a finishing touch on what you're going to, as far as adding it to your preparedness plan. But, the honest truth is I could never see or can never understand the desire to own gold coins in a complete socioeconomic collapse, shit hit the fan scenario, because what the hell am I going to do with my gold coins? A, they're heavy. B, I'm probably going to get killed for them. C, the only useful things I can see doing with them are signaling an SOS signal off a shiny ridge somewhere, or maybe throwing it at someone as a last line of defense. I really can't see what purpose it would serve, to be honest with you. Because look, if I'm starving and we're bartering, I don't want your gold coins. I want some of your food. I want some ammo and some water. I want something to keep me warm and dry. Something else besides gold coins. So we're going to hear a first-hand account from that. Also, I have an article about the truth about why you should never call the police for help. It's really not in their job description. So we'll go over that. And I have the legal definitions of these things. I have actual court cases, and you'll hear that's really calling the cops to keep you safe really doesn't work out almost 95% of the time. And then last but not least, if we have time to get to it, I have a Wall Street corporation buying up a large amount of gun manufacturers such as Bushmaster and I believe, I don't want to say it. I'll get to the article. You'll recognize these gun manufacturers, and we'll see what the intent of this is. Look, any kind of consolidation in any type of industry usually turns out to be pretty bad for the consumer. All right, so I'm going to shut up, and we're going to hit this quick 1867 update. Okay, this is an article that came out today out of Russia Today. Obama insists on indefinite detention of Americans. Now, if you guys all remember, during his campaign, he actually made a speech talking about indefinite detention, and he actually put together a committee, an indefinite detention committee, handpicked, of course, by the most subservient of all globalists. He put that together, and, it's funny. I love people asking, will he veto it? Won't he? Will he? Won't he? Will he? Won't he? I don't really care if he does or not, because like I said, we already have the Patriot Act. So all they have to do is slap you down with the label of terrorist or a terrorist act or about to commit a terrorist act, and off you go. Right? Off you go. So let's check out this article. Also, you new listeners, a lot of times I don't pre-read these articles, okay, because if I pick out an article or some information to go over in the program, and we go through it together as a family, then We're going to find out if it's misinfo or not together. Okay? So here we go. Think that President Obama will stand by his word and veto the legislation that will allow the government to detain American citizens without charge or trial? Think again. The Obama administration has insisted that the president will veto the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2012, a bill that passed through the Senate last week. Under the legislation, the United States of America is deemed a battlefield, and Americans suspected of committing a terrorism offense can be held without trial and tortured indefinitely. Despite the grave consequences for citizens and direct assault on the U.S. Constitution, the act managed to make it through both halves of Congress, but President Obama says he won't let it become law. I don't believe it for a second, but then again, I really don't care. According to Senator Carl Levin, who's a Democrat, by the way, however, Americans should be a bit more concerned about what the president's actual intentions are. Levin, who sits on the Armed Forces Committee as chairman, has revealed to Congress that the Obama administration's influenced the wording of the act and shot down text that would have saved American citizens from the indefinite imprisonment and suspension of habeas corpus. You know, was Levin outspoken about the Patriot Act? And I'm asking a question. I really don't know. So that would be one question I have for Senator Carl Levin. Or did he sign on the dotted line as far as the Patriot Act goes? And the reason I mention he's a Democrat is because obviously we're a Democratic administration, so I just want to point that out. This isn't a typical Republican, versus Democrat thing. And just a side note to you new listeners, on this program, I support neither Democrats or Republicans. I think they're all ripping us off, killing us, and working for bankers. At the Senate level at least, at the very least. Senator Levin told Congress recently that under the original wording of the National Defense Authorization Act, American citizens were excluded from the provision that allowed for detention. Once Obama's officials saw the text, though, says Levin, the administration asked us to remove the language which says that U.S. citizens and lawful residents would not be subjected to this section. Specifically, the section that Obama asked to be reworded was Section 1031 of the National Defense Authorization Act, which says that, quote, any person who has committed a belligerent act could be held indefinitely. Now, when we hear, oh, I'm getting word that Senator Levin opposed the Patriot Act. Okay, I like that guy a little bit more than most. I've actually seen him take some bankers to task too. So, where the heck was I? Okay, so any person who has committed a belligerent act. Now, what is a belligerent act? Within the wording of this bill, I don't really know. You and I get a mental image or whatever when we hear of a belligerent act. To me, it brings up connotations of some guy having too much to drink and getting all belligerent. I think that's what most people would equate the word belligerent with. But I'm sure that's not what the authors of this National Defense Authorization Act had in mind with a belligerent act. Quote, it was the administration that asked us to remove the very language which we had in the bill which passed the committee. We removed it at the request of the administration, said Levin. It was the administration which asked us to remove the very language, the absence of which it is now objected to. John Wood of Change.org writes that President Obama proposed a veto of Section 1032 of the NDAA, which does not pertain to the detention of American citizens. Rather, that section deals with the use of the U.S. military in taking custody of suspected criminals. Section 1031, which actually deals with the indefinite imprisonment of Americans, remains not only unopposed by the Obama administration, but the president has made sure that the law specifically includes Americans, urging Congress to redraft the legislation with increasingly confusing wording that makes the legalization detrimental to America. President Obama could sign off on the legislation as early as December 13th if he chooses not to exercise his veto power. The bill, which includes budgetary provisions for the U.S. military, comes at a price tag several $1 billion cheaper than the president had asked for of Congress. So we could actually sign this into law tomorrow. And the crowd rejoices. All right. Now, look, everybody. Once again, does 1867 really matter? I'm not sure. We haven't seen it go into action yet. In my opinion, with the Patriot Act and the label of being a terrorist, I don't really think that it does. But who am I? I'm just a guy on the internet doing a radio show, right? But let's look past this for a second and realize what powers the president does have. Now, look, there may be some of you out there who actually like Obama. I can't understand why. There may be some of you out there who think a Republican's going to come in and do a better job. I'm not sure why, because none has done a great job to this point. They've all been leading us down the same road, taking different routes, but the destination is still the same, right? So, I mean, with the president now having the power to assassinate American citizens, like in the case of Anwar al-Awlaki, and I can hear some of you out there going, oh, but Darren, Anwar al-Awlaki was a terrorist. Well, look, that's what they say, and they have lied to you repeatedly. And look, I'm not pro Anwar al-Awlaki. I am anti having the president have the ability to assassinate American citizens. Okay? So here's a little clip I have called Obamacide, and it explains the president's powers as far as assassination goes. It's a short little clip, less than 2 minutes. Check it out.
Daddy, I like President Obama. He seems like a nice man, but one of my friends told me he has had people killed. Is that true?
Yes, Sally, it is.
Will he kill us, Daddy?
Well, hopefully not, but he does have that power.
Who did he kill?
Anwar al-Awlaki and 3 other men. One of them also an American citizen, Samir Khan.
Were they bad men, Daddy?
Supposedly they were. But we don't really know the details.
Well then, isn't it good for us that he had them killed?
It may or may not be. But that isn't the issue, Sally. The issue is that every American citizen is entitled to various rights under the Constitution.
Like what? Daddy.
Our Fifth Amendment rights the right to a trial by jury and the presumption of innocence until proven guilty.
Why is that important?
Because it protects your rights as an American citizen.
So, should I worry that the president may hurt me?
Well, hopefully he won't. It is only supposed to be used against terrorists.
But what if they think I'm a terrorist?
That's the problem with these powers. Once they are given, they can easily be abused. Even if President Obama uses it wisely, there may be future presidents who won't.
What can I do, Daddy?
Play this video for your friends and ask them to have their parents let Congress know that they want a president and not a king or dictator, and that they are very unhappy at this.
There you go. So see, that's the real problem. I mean, we all live in our soundbite world, our fast editing, television paced world where, remembering 3 days ago what was told to us is difficult, and we just really get downloaded with information on a daily basis, and that kind of slips away and we kind of forget. But look, if you like Obama, you like him. You think he's a great guy trying to do a job, and it's just those damn evil Republicans in his way, preventing everything. But let's not forget, the Democrats controlled everything for the first 2 years, okay? So that excuse is out the window. But you may still live in that illusion. I'm not quite sure. But who's gonna come along? Would you like somebody with like Newt Gingrich who says that marijuana users should be executed? Would you like someone like Newt Gingrich to have dictatorial powers where he can assassinate American citizens? I mean, we now have the police departments all over the country utilizing predator drone technology. Okay, our police departments are using artificially, intelligently guided war machines for policing duties. These are the machines, these drones are the ones that kill people. This is what killed Anwar al-Awlaki. This is what kills most people. And of course we have the spineless military people out in Air Force base out in, Nevada? I think it's Nevada or Southern California. I cannot remember the name of the base, who control the drones over in Afghanistan from there. So these guys come in with their Dunkin' Donuts coffee, sit down for 8-hour shift, fly some drones around, kill some people, go home and have dinner. How disconnected can you be from the reality of what you're doing? It's crazy, everybody. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So there we go. President killing people, has the ability to kill people. And so once again, I ask you, what's the big deal about S-1867 when we already have things like this in play? I don't know. But I covered it because people have asked me to. All right, let's move on to something a little bit more pressing. Not that the abolishment of our freedoms and rights and pursuit of happiness is not pressing, but we need to deal with an immediate threat, which is the fallout from Fukushima. Let's first go over Reactor 4, and then I'll show you a little bit of cover-up stuff. All right. So Fukushima nuclear reactor 4 possibly collapsing, say sources. Mass evacuations may be necessary. This is out of Natural News, okay? This came out this afternoon, already 321 shares, I think, on Facebook. After enduring many months of total information blackout on the situation, an intelligence source connected with Natural News has just informed us that the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear reactor number 4 may now be on the verge of collapsing and that mass evacuations in northern Japan could be necessary if such a collapse occurs and is confirmed. Natural News presents this only as a precautionary alert, as we have not yet been about to double or triple confirm this report. Okay, but we are actively investigating and we're bringing up the dates in a timely manner. Reactor 4, you may remember, had been given the silent treatment by the plant's operator, the Tokyo Electric Power Company, otherwise known as TEPCO. Another company that will be burning in hell, if there is a hell, along with BP and Monsanto and Nestle and Halliburton and GE and Time Warner and Disney. Okay. TEPCO, immediately following the massive earthquake and tsunami that struck the fragile plant back in March, for weeks the public was left in the dark about the status of Reactor 4's cooling pools and about whether or not the reactor's spent fuel rods were exposed. It now appears, however, that Reactor 4's cooling tower, which had been previously reported to be leaning and in danger of falling, is now following course with its inevitable fate, which is a possible total collapse. According to our source, the entire Reactor 4 structure has been deemed, quote, highly unstable, and the south wall of the reactor appears to be headed into an imminent structural failure. This situation, of course, is extremely dangerous and could have devastating consequences for northern Japan as well as North America, which is why mass evacuations in Japan would be a likely outcome in the hours following such a collapse. As soon as Natural News learns of other information about this breaking situation, we will provide the details to our readers. Until then, stay tuned. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So we will stay abreast of this situation. And my friend Jules in chat is saying Arnie Gunderson, for those of you who don't know who Arnie Gunderson is, he's been, I would say, the most highly profiled person in mainstream media trying to sound the alarm bells on Fukushima. And I haven't really seen him on any other mainstream media source other than Russia Today. If anybody else has seen him on something like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, something like that, I don't know. I can't say. But he warned about this from the very beginning and said that we'd all be in trouble. And I believe he believes, or my friend Jules believes, there's something like 6,000 rods, spent fuel rods, sitting on top of the reactor. That's the design of these reactors, you guys. They put the big nuclear fission chamber underneath, and they store all the spent fuel rods on top of it. So if it blows up, well, all those rods go up into the atmosphere. It's just an awesome design. General Electric designed that, by the way. General Electric. Kudos to them. Now, if you listen to episode 166, you heard the horrors, the things that we talked about. I said horrors, you guys, horrors. The things that we talked about such as the exposure we're all getting, how radioactive the snowfalls out in the western part of the United States have been, actually sucking radiation out of the house into the snow itself, and the rain as well, produce, things like that coming from the West Coast, and of course we have radiation in milk and radiation in produce, basically reported all over the place. So I personally do have a Geiger counter being shipped to me right now, so I'm going to be up on this on a personal level in the coming weeks, and I'll do a lot of reports from my grocery store's produce section. Actually, there's about 4 different grocery stores in the area that I'm going to hit, and obviously any rainfall I'll be reporting. So you'll know that if the readings are reading high, if the levels are reading high over here in FEMA Region 1, I'm in western Massachusetts, part of FEMA Region 1, you know that most of the country has been hit. Okay? So we'll get some real-life, real-time stats on that pretty soon. But we have this story developing out of Washington where a congressman releases a blockbuster report detailing the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's conspiracy in the wake of Fukushima. This new report details a conspiracy to delay, weaken U.S. nuclear safety in the wake of Fukushima. And this report was presented by Congressman Edward Markey. I don't know if Edward Markey is he's a Democrat also. Boy, the Democrats are coming up big against this administration. Well, I don't know if he's blaming the administration, but he should. Okay, so this regulatory meltdown reveals efforts to improve nuclear safety has been undermined by 4 NRC commissioners. As part of his ongoing investigation into U.S. nuclear safety since the Fukushima meltdowns today, Representative Edward J. Markey, a Democrat out of Mass, Congress's leading voice for nuclear safety, released a blockbuster new report that details how 4 commissioners at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission colluded to prevent and then delay the work of the NRC near-term task force on Fukushima, the entity which was tasked with making recommendations for improvement to NRC regulations and processes after Fukushima meltdowns, the worst nuclear disaster in history. And I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg with this thing, people. It's bad news. The near-term task force members comprised more than 135 years of collective experience at the NRC, and with full access to expert NRC staff, completed a methodical and comprehensive review of NRC's regulatory system. Representative Markey's office reviewed thousands of pages of documents, including emails, correspondence, meeting minutes, and voting records, and found a concerted effort by the commissioners William Magwood, Christine Savinky, William Ostendorf, and George Apostolakis to undermine the efforts of the Fukushima task force with requests for endless additional study in an effort to delay and release the implementation of the task force final recommendations. Documents also show open hostility on the part of the 4 commissioners towards efforts of NRC Chairman Greg Jasko to fully and quickly implement the recommendations of the task force, despite efforts on the part of the chairman to keep the other 4 NRC commissioners fully informed regarding the Japanese emergency. Quote, the actions of these 4 commissioners since the Fukushima nuclear disaster has caused a regulatory meltdown that has left America's nuclear fleet and the general public at risk, said Representative Markey. Instead of doing what they have been sworn to do, these 4 commissioners have attempted a coup on the chairman and have abdicated their responsibility to the American public to assure the safety of America's nuclear industry. I call on these 4 commissioners to stop the obstruction, do their jobs, and quickly move to fully implement the lessons learned from the Fukushima disaster. And the findings in this report were that 4 NRC commissioners attempted to delay and otherwise impede the creation of the NRC near-term task force. 4 commissioners conspired with each other and with senior NRC staff, so there's more people involved than just these 4 guys, to delay the release of and alter the NRC near-term task force. The other NRC commissioners attempted to slow down or otherwise impede the adoption of the safety recommendations. I'd like to know what these safety recommendations were. You know, honestly, I'll only be happy with one safety recommendation as far as any nuclear power goes, and that's no more. Shut them all down. Shut them all down immediately. Shut them down immediately. Nuclear energy is by no means worth the risk. I mean, when they were selling this to us in the 70s, we heard, cheaper electricity, cheaper power, more efficient, clean, all this stuff. Well, I don't know. Have your electric bills gone down? Is your power nice and cheap to pay for? And even if it was, is it worth risking the entire planet? I'd rather live in caves with fires from my light, from my power source, okay, than die in a nuclear wasteland. It's just my opinion. I'm crazy, I know. All right, so there's that cover-up concerning Fukushima. And now what can you do to protect yourself from radiation? Well, I have 3 pages here of stuff. And I'm going to be posting this up after I think I've already posted it once on the Front's Facebook page, which will transfer over to the Front's website. So you guys can check either one. I have a comment in chat saying they still say that nuclear power is safe and clean in the school textbooks. I don't doubt it. They actually say that in Japan's textbooks too, and now they're doing some big I don't know what you call it, a big damage control thing where they're switching out textbooks and there's all this craziness. But anyway, protection from radiation. Okay, this is a little summary of how to protect yourself. Calcium. Takes extra calcium. It blocks the uptake of strontium-90. Adults may take up to 1,500 milligrams daily. Okay, now, calcium can be a little tricky. You don't want to overload your system with calcium. So, I'm not a big advocate of talking to your doctor about things like this because your doctor probably has no clue about radiation or Fukushima. So it may be kind of a rough conversation. But I don't know. I guess that's up to you guys. Calcium iodate, another effective blocker of radioiodine uptake for the thyroid gland from the study listed below. Okay, I'm not going to go into the study, but calcium iodate. Also iron. Iron blocks the uptake of plutonium. Too much iron can be toxic, especially for children, so don't OD on this one. Adults take up to 300 milligrams daily if no medical problems. And iron-deficient children may receive 4 to 6 milligrams of iron daily in 3 divided doses. Listen, iron's a little risky, so please, at your own discretion. I might. If there's another plutonium blocker here, we might opt for that if it's more safe. But please do your homework on that. Okay, don't listen to the information I give you here as the gospel or, as complete truth, because honestly, people, it's very hard to get any actual truthful information anywhere, no matter what anybody tells you. And so really all we can do is speculate. That's really all we can do. Potassium. Potassium reduces the uptake of cesium-137. Adults may take up to 100 milligrams daily. Unless they have decreased renal or kidney function. In that case, the dose should be decreased or avoided. Eating potassium-rich foods like meat, broth is usually still okay, even with the decreased renal function. Zinc, vitamin B12, chlorella, which is high in vitamin B12. Spirulina, magnesium. Let's see. What else do we have? Cod liver oil, flaxseed oil, potassium iodide. What else do we have? Melatonin. Melatonin helps to protect from damage due to ionizing radiation. Vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin D3. You should be taking all those things anyways. Big doses, though. Whatever you see, here's a recommendation as far as like your vitamins go. When the FDA, whatever the FDA recommends, add a 0 to the end of that, and you'll be better. Selenium, garlic, turmeric or curcumin, curcumin or turmeric, found to be effective in protecting the cells against radiation-induced suppression of glutathione, peroxidase, catalase, and superoxide dismutase activities. This is used in many curry dishes and may be safely ingested by adults and children. Aloe vera helps to protect and heal the skin from radiation burns. Horseradish, resveratrol, lycopene, lipoic acid, what else? Miso soup, and for a decontamination progress, a bath with baking soda and Epsom salts. You do about a cup of baking soda and maybe 1 to 2 cups of Epsom salt or ordinary coarse salt, and you can decontaminate your outer epidermis. Not that you have an inner epidermis, you have a dermis, but it's not epidermis. Okay. So there you go. There's a little Fukushima rundown for you guys. Fukushima rundown. It's not pleasant, is it? I mean, to be honest with you guys, since I started researching and looking into, well, I guess everything, I did not see radiation on the map as far as something to be concerned about, unless we were talking about thermonuclear war. Wasn't even on my radar. Not that that's a big deal. I'm just letting you know where I was coming from on that. So, all right. Let's move into something here a little more interesting. I know that's doom and gloom. I hate it, but I feel like I have to tell you. I'll beat the radiation thing to death on this program because it's happening to us right now. We are not. I did not do this show to try to bring you the latest, greatest info. I did it to give you the most important information. And, if we have to beat radiation up every show to make people wake up and realize what's happening, then we're going to do it. And this is not something that people are predicting in the future or what could happen, what might happen. This is happening now. It's happening right now. And the whole disconnect for people on this, myself included. I mean, I forget, going through my day that we're being exposed to this, and I'm doing some stupid things. It's not a tactile thing. We can't hear it, we can't see it, we can't smell it, we can't taste it, unless you have a metal taste in your mouth. But that can also be something else. It can be something within your digestive tract, making your mouth taste that way. It's not necessarily radiation or being exposed to it. So, but it's not tactile, and so it's easy to forget, but we can't forget. It's like a silent killer, Yeah, excellent suggestion in chat. You can buy these respirator masks. They're called N95 respirator masks. They're very cheap. Just search for them online. N95 respirator mask. You can get boxes of 20 pretty cheap. I think they were like $10 maybe. We should all be wearing them. I'm actually going to do this. We're compiling a radiation facts sheet that I can hand out to people because I'm going to head out there into the matrix. It's all right. It's not so scary as long as you know what it is. I'm like Neo. I recognize it. I see it. I can move in and out of it with ease. I'm going to go out there in the matrix with Fukushima written on my N95 respirator mask with my Geiger counter and radiation handouts and try to inform the masses. See what kind of reaction I get. Not expecting a lot. And see if I draw the attention of some type of Gestapo type, what are we going to call them? Okay, cops. We'll just call them what they are. So that'll be coming up in the near future. All right, let's move on here. Look, people who listen to programs like this, right? We all talk about shit hit the fan scenario, right? We all talk about it. Sometimes we fantasize about it. Sometimes we have delusions of grandeur about it. We watch movies about it and think it might be just like that, just like this. Well, there's this guy, his name is Selko, and I've actually tried to contact him to see if he'll be a guest on my program. I have a feeling he's not going to do it, but I will bother him a little bit more and see if we can get him to do it. I'm at least going to see if he'll do an off-air interview. So that's my next shot with Selko. But like I said in the beginning, this guy actually lived it. Selko, he's from the Balkan region, and he says in his description about himself that he says, "My name is Selko, and I'm from the Balkan region, and as some of you may know, it was hell here from 92 to 95. Anyway, for one whole year, I lived and survived in a city without electricity, fuel, running water, real food distribution, or any distribution of any goods or any kind of organized law or government. The city was surrounded for 1 year, and in that city, it actually was a shit-hit-the-fan situation. We were all thrown into this, and our allies were our enemies from one day to the next. Today," and he goes on to say that he learned a lot about this hard times. And so he wrote about it on this blog called Shit Hit the Fan School, which you can actually grab the news feed. If you want to go to frontradio.net, like I said in the beginning of the show, it is front and center on the home page. So you won't be able to miss that. But let's hear what Selko has to say about gold and silver for survival preparedness. All right. Let's see if maybe I can drum up my best European bloc impression. So it would be something like maybe, "I am so very sorry because I have to destroy some popular opinions on some things, but I just have to do that. When I say and keep saying no rules, I mean that. You cannot have something like ideal preparations. You can only try to have it. And then hungry man down the road still might shoot you with his antique hunting rifle for a bit of flour." Okay, I'm not going to do that for the whole article, but you get my point. All right, so he goes on to say, "So again, on bartering and gold and silver." Now again, on this program I've said many times, I don't know what you're going to do with gold coins besides throw them at people for protection and try to signal SOS off a sunny ridge somewhere. You really can't do anything with it unless you're going to hang on to it until society starts rebuilding itself. I really don't know who would want it when they're trying to survive. So Selko goes on to say, "So again, on bartering in gold and silver, no gold and silver," he says, "no, gold and silver was not like second money or second value during shit hit the fan. It was not even worth like normal times, and in most of the cases it was dangerous to have it. Actually, it was too dangerous to have anything in great amounts, let other people know that. If you had, for example, 1,000 gold coins, let's say, that one gold coin worth $150 in normal times, you could think that you are rich and shit hit the fan." Listen, if it sounds like I'm reading weird, you guys, his English is very broken, so that's kind of how he writes. So it's not me. I'm trying to read this broken English written out. But in reality, it was hard to find someone who give you some food or battery or whatever useful for one coin. Gold coin was not useful for 90% of the people. What could they use it for? Eat it? Start a fire with it? Only people which could use that gold were people who had connection to the outside world, so they could use it for buying things through their connections. In most cases, they just used situation to acquire great amounts of gold for the future and in exchange for some simple things like food or fuel or something else. They did that because they had everything else. But the thing is, it was hard to make trade with people like that because bad kind of people had connections and were gathering the gold. So you're just going to take that gold from you and give you nothing or give you a bullet in your head. So yes, gold was useful and not useful. It depends on what kind of people or group you belong to. If we have worldwide crisis, you cannot get food anywhere. The first currency of choice will be food or useful things, not gold or silver. If you want gold to keep some kind of value for one day after all this is over, make sure you are prepped for long, long time crisis before that. It is better you have some useful stuff in your prepping than to waste money on gold and silver. And of course, if you still want to have a lot of gold as part of your preparations, I suggest you buy a lot of odd gold rings or simple gold trinkets or a gold necklace. It makes more sense than to have gold coins. In hurry, it is going to make more sense to offer your wife's gold ring, someone for cans or something else to offer someone some strange gold coins for food or some typical gold coins you can buy from gold sellers these days. It can raise some questions, and you do not need to be raising any questions in a shit hit the fan situation. Stay low key. Be the guy with the last family jewels, not the guy with gold coins from typical gold sellers. I would say that in the shit hit the fan, it's going to be easier and cheaper to get gold than in normal times. Bartering was not a thing of some regular prices or regular places. Even expensive things changed. Meet the guy with a terrible toothache and you are the only person who can do an okay tooth surgery. He will give you some gold for that if he can, or a whole lot of other valuable things to simply get out of the situation. So he's trying to explain that you're going to, if gold is an issue for you, you might just acquire it through trading if you have everything you need. I doubt we're all going to have everything we need if it comes to that. He goes on to say, as I remember, coffee and cigarettes were hard to find and expensive through all of the time. Everything else changed. Sometimes was expensive and hard to find, sometimes not. But important to remember is to make it easier to you. So obviously, it is much easier to carry and trade candles and batteries than 2 liters of fuel. There's no sense in letting everybody know that you are a man for trade and that you have a lot of fuel, for example, because then you might end up finished, robbed, and probably dead. If you can be a traveler trading and do not trade too often with the same people if you can avoid that. People also got shot after trading with one person a few times before because it goes like this. Other person might just run out of things to trade and call on you. You come to trade, but all he has for you is a bullet in exchange for what he needs. And he knows you're going to come with what he needs because he's done this with you several times before. In some hardest periods, cigarettes were sold at 1 cigarette apiece. I mean, you could buy 1 cigarette for something. It was so expensive. Same was with coffee. Even some substitutes for coffee were expensive. Now you need to know that traditionally here people drink coffee a lot. So maybe some other things is so important in your area, like tea, beer, or something else. Well, no, I'd say Selco hit that. Coffee and cigarettes would definitely be good trade or barter items. But do not expect that people will lose their addictions because times are hard. One of my older relatives smoked cigarettes while he had it. After that, he smoked pipe tobacco. After that, he bought some from folks pieces of dried tobacco roots or tree. He used a knife to cut small pieces of that and smoke that. And after that, he used to just smoke dry leaves from trees. He never quit smoking. So in short, instead of getting gold and silver to preserve your wealth, you might consider getting useful stuff. And if you like gold, there was always the option to get it from unprepared people in exchange for useful stuff if you think you need this for times after. If you already have everything you really think you could need, then gold and silver might be good. Better than just money for sure. I do not believe in any quick recovery. Even with the help of other states, it took a long time before things became normal again. If things don't get better, you do not want to be stuck with gold and having to do risky trades. Do not think that other people do not see when someone is desperate and take advantage of it. So there you go. That's straight from the horse's mouth, and that really coincides with what I've said about gold. I can't really see a use for it in a shit-hit-the-fan scenario because what are you going to do with it? And if you look at who owns most of the gold, it's nations and governments, and the private bankers. So, and they're in control of the majority of gold in the world. To move us into a gold standard, I'm on the fence about it. I really don't know about it. I really don't. I just don't. And, of course, we also have, remember, back in the Depression, the government actually confiscated people's gold. So we could have a gold confiscation, again. So, as far as part of a preparedness plan, I'm not rich enough to own any gold, so I don't. But I just figured I'd kind of put that debate to rest. Even if I could have gold in my preparedness plan, I probably wouldn't waste money on it. All right, so there you go. That's one man's experience in a real-life shit-hit-the-fan scenario telling you how it really goes down. All right? All righty. What else do I have here? Okay. All right. Okay. Now, let's move on to some gun laws, gun stuff, gun and police protection stuff, as we're going to round out this program. I'm going to play a clip for you, with Ted Nugent. That's right. Ted Nugent. This is an older clip. I've seen this before, but I figured it was an appropriate intro to this next article about police protection and what that exactly means for a citizen. Okay, so check out this clip from Ted. Look, I don't agree with Ted Nugent on most things, okay, because Ted Nugent is a hardcore Republican. Ted Nugent still falls for the two-party system. Ted Nugent wraps himself in the American flag and is immersed in nationalism, and I don't think he can see past that. Do I like his tunes? Yep. Do I like his view on gun laws? Yep. But that's about it. All right? So check this out.
Second Amendment, gun control. You've been on the NRA's board since '95, and this is a subject that you maybe feel more strongly about than any other.
I believe that
make your case.
I believe that a person's moral compass can be determined by how he references free men the right to defend themselves. The Second Amendment is so obvious to me; it's insane that there's an argument. God gave, let's pretend there is no document. Let's pretend brave families didn't leave the tyrants and the slave drivers of Europe so that they could practice the religion of their choice, so that they could speak out without being murdered, that they could produce wool without the king's men coming and taking it from them every season of harvest. Let's pretend none of that happened. Let's just pretend this guy named Ted Nugent parachuted onto Earth and woke up one morning and saw these wonderful resources and had dreams of excellence and being the best that I could be. I don't need a document, and I don't need another man to explain to me that I have the right to defend my gift of life. And that there is an argument in America from Hillary Clinton, from Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, from a whole gaggle of numbnuts who would try to tell me they will dictate where, how, and if I can defend myself. I find that preposterous. I find it unacceptable, and I will not accept it. I am a free man. Don't tread on me. A good, law-abiding citizen, not convicted of a felon. The Second Amendment of our Bill of Rights is my concealed weapons permit. Period.
That's it?
That's it.
So no limitations of any kind that you can see?
None.
That's it.
The limitation should be, instead of arresting people for molesting children 24 times, I would rather the dad walked into the room, found a person molesting that child, and blew his brains out. I would rather that the lady in Massachusetts last month who was taking her daughter to soccer, who was carjacked by a recidivistic maggot who'd been in the prison system all his life but was let out again because we feel sorry for him. Maybe he had a bad childhood. Instead of her being hijacked and murdered, I'd rather she just shot the bastard dead. But in Massachusetts, somebody decided she can't do that. So she's dead. I would rather she was alive and the carjacker was dead. I'm weird. I would rather that the guy who beat this lady to within an inch of her life in Waco, on parole was he, phenomenal, and beat her to within an inch of his life in front of her grandchildren with a whiskey bottle. I would rather she fell to the ground, pulled out a .38, and shot him 6 times in the chest and killed him. Am I weird? Because the guy is going to get out again. I don't like repeat offenders. I like dead offenders.
Well, it makes sense to me. I mean, it makes sense to me. But you see, people, it's not about you having the ability to protect yourself. Like he said, I don't need, and this is why I'm not, look, I get into dicey territory here when I start talking about this because people take this wrong. I'm not a big constitutionalist, okay? Because the bottom line is I don't need that piece of paper to tell me what my rights are. And I don't need another man or woman to tell me what my rights are. I view myself as a human being on this planet, and I have all the rights I need. I determine what rights I have by exercising them. And that's how we all should think. We don't need to follow the Constitution. I mean, look, since they shoved that Kool-Aid down our throat since we've been in grade school, let's run with it and hold the people accountable in office that are stepping all over it, because that's the contract. And any business contract, when things go wrong, you refer back to the contract if there's a disagreement. That's the contract. I mean, that's the contract. But I don't even need that contract because I'm an adult. I'm a free-thinking human being. I'm a compassionate person. You know, I'm not going to go out there and hurt anybody. You try to screw with me, I'll pull a Ted Nugent on you. But I don't need that piece of paper to make me a free citizen that allows me to protect myself by whatever means necessary from someone trying to do me or anybody I care about harm. And, you know, the government statistically does not protect us from anything. From anything. They tell you they do, but the reality is that they do not. And neither do your local police forces. They do not. And we're going to go into that right now. Just dial 911. This is the myth of police protection, okay? Americans increasingly believe that all they need for protection is a telephone. Dial 911, the police, the fire, and ambulance will come straight to the rescue. It's faster than the pizza man. Faith in a telephone number and the local cops is so strong that Americans dial 911 over 250,000 times per day. Yet does dialing 911 actually protect crime victims? No, not really. I mean, it's been found that less than 5% of all calls dispatched to police are made quickly enough for officers to actually stop a crime or arrest a suspect. The 911 bottom line, cases in which 9/11 technology makes a substantial difference in the outcome of a criminal event are extraordinarily rare. Okay? And it's not just that the police cannot protect you. They don't even have to come when you call them. In most states, the government and police owe no legal duty to protect individual citizens from criminal attack. The District of Columbia's highest court spelled out plainly the, quote, fundamental principle that a government and its agents are under no general duty to provide public services such as police protection to any particular individual citizen, end quote. How's that grab you? That's why I have made remarks in the past about, you know, what's written on the side of a police car. To protect and serve ... To protect and serve what? Let's fill in the blank there, people. You know, let's not leave it open-ended so that, you know, police forces can be molded into protecting and serving whoever. Why doesn't it say to protect and serve the citizens? That's a question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm asking. So, in the especially gruesome landmark case of the no-duty rule, just before dawn on March 16th, 1975, two men broke down the back door of a three-story house in D.C., shared by three women and a child. On the second floor, one woman was sexually attacked. Her housemates on the third floor heard her screams and called the police. The woman's first call got to D.C. Police, got assigned to, quote, low priority. So the responding officers arrived at the house, got no answer to their knocks on the door, did a quick check around, and left. When the woman frantically called the police a second time, the dispatcher promised help would come, but no officers were even dispatched. The attackers kidnapped, robbed, raped, and beat all three women over 14 hours. When these women later sued the city and its police for neglectingly failing to protect them or even to answer their second call, the court held that government had no duty to respond to their call or to protect them. Case dismissed. Case dismissed. The law is similar in most states. A Kansas statute precludes citizens from suing the government or the police for neglectingly failing to enforce the law or for failing to provide police or fire protection. A California law states that, quote, neither a public entity nor a public employee is liable for failure to establish a police department or otherwise provide police protection service, end quote. Yeah, there you go. As one California appellate court wrote, quote, police officers have no affirmative statutory duty to do anything, end quote. So it's like I've been saying. Police nowadays, police have been transformed. The majority of police, okay, not all of them. I know there's some good ones out there. But the majority of police have been transformed into antagonists. They, look at, anybody who hasn't seen cops escalate an already dangerous situation more times than they can remember, I don't know what you're seeing or what police officers you're looking at, but they escalate a problem. They look to cause a problem. Has been my experience most of the time, and from what I've seen elsewhere. The other thing is they're revenue generators. Okay, they're revenue generators. Whether that revenue come through fines, tickets, or funding the prison system. In America we have the most people in prison in the world in this free country, so rationalize that one. But really, that's what they are. That's what they've become. The state legislatures and courts protect government entities and police departments from civil liability for failing to provide adequate police protection. Some states invoke the, quote, sovereign immunity defense, a throwback to the days where the subjects were forbidden to sue the king. Other states have, isn't it funny how the lawmakers, they say things like the Constitution is outdated, yet they fall back on defenses like the sovereign immunity defense, a throwback from the days when subjects were forbidden to sue the king. Other states have statutes that prevent legal challenges to police, quote, discretionary functions. Courts preclude lawsuits in those states by holding that answering emergency calls or providing police protection are, quote, discretionary functions. It's their discretion. It's up to their discretion. Many states evade liability by relying on the ironically named, quote, public duty doctrine. Like a George Orwell slogan, the doctrine says, police owe a duty to protect the public in general, but not to protect any particular individual. All right? So many states evade liability, as far as police protection goes, by relying on the ironically named public duty doctrine, which once again states police owe a duty to protect the public in general, but not to protect any particular individual. A Massachusetts statute spells out the rule here. The government has no legal duty to, quote, provide adequate police protection, prevent the commission of crimes, investigate, detect, or solve crimes, identify or apprehend criminals or suspects, arrest or detain suspects, or enforce any law, end quote. I mean, are some of you a little bit blown away by this? I mean, we all just assume that that's the cop's job, is to protect the citizen. But here we're seeing legal statutes, definitions, terms that have been used to allow police to get out of providing protection from you. Comment and chat. Well, then what's the point? Good question. What is the point? I don't know what the point is. I guess the point would be now that police departments, now that they're primarily federally funded, now that they're federally funded, and yes, we do pay their paychecks with our supposed tax dollars, why are we paying them? One more reason not to pay those things. Let's see. What else do I have here? It's a pretty lengthy article. I just kind of highlighted. I did read this one prior to coming on the air because it was 3 pages. 4 pages. So I wanted to grab some highlights out of it. Here's another part of the article. It says, government lulls the public into trusting it to providing everything, takes away the people's means of providing for themselves, and then claims it has no duty to provide after all. Noting the fatal irony in the gun control context, James Brovard has written that, quote, government has a specific concrete obligation to disarm each citizen, but only as an abstract obligation to defend the citizen. Gun control, Bovard notes, is one of the best examples of laws that corner private citizens, forcing them either to put themselves into danger or to be a lawbreaker. And that's absolutely 100% true. That is 100% true. And just look at every city in this country that have made guns illegal to own or carry. And across the board, they all have the highest crime rates. They all have the highest crime rates. Let's see. Oh, got some callers on the line here. Let's take this call. Hold on one second. We'll go 740 and then 617. Let's check this out. Hey, caller, are you there?
Yeah, is this me?
Yes, this is you.
Hey, Cole. When this thing with this is a first-time caller, first-time listener. I just found you on Facebook, and when this thing in Fukushima happened, the very first day after the tsunami, I said Japan is going to be inhabitable. And I still believe that. I think that Japan is basically gone, and I think it's going to spread, and we're going to see people dying.
Yeah, I agree. What's your name?
My name's Melody.
Hey, Melody. You know what? I said the same thing. My first broadcast after Fukushima. I think that occurred on a Friday. My next broadcast was on a Monday, and I agree with you 100%. I said the same thing. I said Japan's going to become a wasteland.
And what is surprising to me, I live in Ohio in a little town, and I will ask people about Fukushima, and their response to me is, what's a Fukushima? No one seems to know what is going on over there in Japan. They have no clue. And here, there's nothing on the media about it. Nothing. Not one thing on Fukushima.
No, there isn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I had, I watch all this stuff on the internet, and there's two scenarios. One is that this is not going to do anything. And then the second scenario is that within 2 years, the whole planet would be inhabitable. So I thought, well, it's so hard to get to the truth. So I went and I watched a documentary called Battle for Chernobyl. And if you compare Chernobyl with Fukushima, we're in big trouble.
Yes.
We are huge. Because Fukushima, they had it, in tune within 8 days or something like that?
Yes.
That was only one reactor. Here we've got 6 nuclear plants. At least 5 of them have melted down, and I'm assuming that at least 3 have gone China. I'm sure they're not telling the truth, but I believe at least 3 have gone. Reactors 2, 3, and 4, I think, is probably in China.
Yeah, well, you're referring to China syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Well, have you been listening since the beginning of the program?
No, actually, I am taking care of a husband that's on hospice, and my son has cancer.
Oh.
And so I've been listening off and on as I do this and that, and I just happened to come back to listen to you for a few more minutes. And
okay. Well, hey, Melody, I did 2 shows ago. If you go to my website, FrontRadio.net, it's episode 166. This is 168 tonight. I did a 2-hour show with a woman named Christine Consolo, who's very educated about Fukushima, radiation, radioactive fallout. We covered it in depth, so you might want to go back and listen to that show. It might give you some more insight to what's happening. But I'm going to be reporting on Fukushima frequently. I actually have a Geiger counter coming, so I'm going to be checking my local produce. And if you're in Ohio, I'm over here in Massachusetts. So if my readings are high here, they're going to be high where you are.
Yeah.
Okay? And also, if you're on Facebook, look for a page called Rad Chick, R-A-D.
That's where I think I found you through that person.
Okay.
And I think I came to you, and then I seen something about a blog talk show, and I thought, well, I'm going to try to listen. And I like I said, I've listened kind of off and on as much as I can. When do you do your shows? Every day or?
No, every Monday and Thursday at 6. So if if you
Monday and Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, go to my Facebook page, The Front on Facebook, and you'll get all the updates there.
Okay, that's cool. But I don't think people realize what's coming down with this.
I don't think they do either. You know what? I don't think I do, and I don't think you do either. But at least we're out there trying to warn people and do what we can.
Well, don't you think the media is keeping it quiet because they don't want to put a scare in people?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, that's normally what they do. I mean, I covered this deliberate cover-up by 4 members of the NRC Commission out of Washington. I covered that earlier in the program. So yeah, without a doubt, we are being kept in the dark. But hey, Melody, we're always kept in the dark. I mean, the powers that be in the mainstream media, they do not have our best interest in mind. We all know that.
If you hear something on, what I do is if I hear something on TV, I know it's propaganda, and usually what they're telling me is the opposite of what's really going on.
You got it.
It's kind of like with the oil spill. We are not going to ever find out the true effects of what's going on down there.
Right. Yep.
And I think that's still going on, too.
I actually had a woman on here that's been a big activist. Her name is Kathy Beer, and I had her on a couple times. And I think the last time I had her on was maybe about, I'd say, 6-7 months ago. I haven't heard from her since, but I know it was continuing on up at that point. They were still spraying Corexit every night.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they haven't stopped. Because I believe that oil is coming out of fissures and all that, so they have to suppress it. They have to,
We're going to see people down there dying, and we're losing our food chain. People don't realize that. I eat shrimp, but I know I shouldn't because it's full of Corexit and oil.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to eat sushi. You're not going to be I love sushi in Japan. You're not going to be able to eat that. I believe that the ocean is going to be the biggest, where it's really going to hit us with contamination is our food chain with the fish.
Yeah, I agree. With everything, Melody, because it's killing our produce that comes from the West Coast, which is where most of it comes from. My guest, Christina, on episode 166, actually took high readings from lettuce in her grocery store because the lettuce has so much water in it, so it registered very high. So, yeah, we have some issues. But like I said, I'm going to be getting a first-hand account of what's being contaminated and what's not being contaminated. So, if you want to stay up with me and what I do with Fukushima, like I said, go to my Facebook page or my website, FrontRadio.net, and I'll do my best to keep everybody informed.
Okay, yeah, I've got you up on. You're just called The Front.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you some other time.
All right, Melody. Thanks for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And we'll get to 617. Hey, who's this? Jeff from Chelsea, Mass.
Yes. I have a pretty good article for you, which is Senate Bill 1867.
Yep.
And this is powerful. I leave you with these telling words from my colleague Mike Adams. One day you will call into talk radio and express your discontent with the president. Let's say in the next day a U.S. Marine Scout sniper sets up his .338 sniper rifle a couple of 100 yards from your house, waits for you to sit down to watch Anderson Cooper vomit out the evening's news propaganda, then he pulls the trigger and blows your neck off, causing your head to smack dab in that bowl of Kraft macaroni and cheese. This will all be legal under the new Senate Bill 1867 because they claim you were a terrorist collaborator who questioned the wisdom of the executive leadership of America. Once due process is stripped away, anything can be justified by the government, including open murder of its own citizens. That came from the article by Ty Bollinger, Cancer Truth, Special Report, December 5th, 2011. That's a scary bill, Darren.
Yes, it is scary. But like I said, I covered a little update of S1867 in the beginning of the program. But like I said, Jeff, a lot of people are getting worked up about this bill, and understandably. But my question is, why is everybody so worked up about this when under the Patriot Act they can just deem me a terrorist for doing exactly what you just described, calling into a radio show, and now I'm labeled a terrorist and my rights are suspended and I can be indefinitely detained. So although I do understand that S1867 is a bad thing,
It's already in place.
It was already in play, and so I don't even really understand the need for it, but
Wait, no, it is, Darren, is that they're making it more pronounced. Before, it was under the surface and so forth. I mean, let's face it, Darren, do you know anybody that's got hauled off in Boston? I mean, I don't know anybody that's got hauled off in Boston for doing what I'm doing. I know I haven't been hauled off yet, and look at how many talk shows I call into.
Right.
So
well,
yes.
That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, because Jeff, I think that if we go back to 1929 Germany, there was a lot of people having a lot of similar conversations that we're having right now.
Good point, Darren. But Darren, I think we're heading more towards Stalin's Russia, and Stalin's Russia was worse than Nazi Germany. I was watching a thing on the History Channel about Stalin's Russia, and we're actually heading in that direction. But like I said, personally, I haven't been hauled off yet. I haven't had the goon squad come by and grab me at 4:30 in the morning and drag me down and throw me to a FEMA camp. Do I believe concentration camps exist in this country? Yes, I do. But this bill just makes it a little bit more pronounced. In other words, they're making it more public. That's why people are getting into a tizzy over this bill. Because
right.
Making it more official, more public. Like, officially, we are now a communist country. It passed the Senate. I have no idea what happened to the House. I heard stories that might get smacked down in the House. I'm not sure. I can't confirm or prove that. But it's scary that it passed the Senate. And,
yes.
And so forth. And if it's ever found out that Obama officially signs that bill in place, we are done.
We are. We might know tomorrow.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes.
Darren, I thank you for having me on the broadcast, and have a good night.
You too, Jeff. Thanks for calling, brother. All right. All right. That's going to take us about to the end of the program, everybody. We kind of got off the subject matter about the cops and gun rights, but just a quick note as the show is winding down. The last article I did not get to, and this is pretty important. There is a company, a corporation, Wall Street-based corporation called Cerberus Group. It's called the Freedom Group, and it's owned by a company called Cerberus. I was going to go into detail about this for you guys, but this company has now purchased Bushmaster out of Maine. They have purchased Remington, Harrington and Richardson's, and L.C. Smith and Dakota Arms. Let's see, S&K Industries, and some other gun manufacturers. I can't find them right now in the article, but I'm going to post this up at the Front's Facebook page. If you guys aren't Facebookers, everything I put up on the Facebook page goes over to FrontRadio.net, so you can grab it there. But the reason I was going to bring up this group, the Freedom Group, buying all the gun manufacturers, is because anytime any industry is consolidated like that, it means a bad thing. It's a bad thing, okay? They're going to consolidate it to take it away. All right? That's my opinion on that. But listen, everybody, I just want to say thank you to all you new people who decided to take the time and check out the program. It means more to me than I can really say, because I work hard at this thing, and so do the people that help me, and I really appreciate it. We appreciate it. Check out the website, frontradio.net. Grab a groovy T-shirt. Keep the show on the air. And send me any email or show suggestions at FrontRadio. I'm sorry, at thefront@live.com, thefront@live.com. And on that note, I'm going to leave you with these normal words of wisdom. I'll see you all Thursday. Thanks for being here.
Your choice is simple. Join us and live in peace, or pursue your present course and face obliteration. We shall be waiting for your answer. The decision rests with you.